So create value. Don't just follow a passion that is empty, a passion which does not lead to any value. Otherwise, you'll be a broke engineer. You need to create value. Sure, let me put it in presentation mode. Okay, greetings again. I'm hoping now it's in presentation mode and we are able to see. Simon, I would need your response.
Yes, sir. Actually, it's in presentation mode, yeah.
Okay, great. So I'm sure everyone knows who my name is. Anthony Chabala. Of course, taking you around this presentation on the street engineer. Thank you for hosting me and giving me this privilege to share my experience. I'll try to define the way I understand street engineer, so that we probably are on one page together. So now, who am I? I believe this reminds us of some famous movie. We watched a funny movie in the 90s by Jackie Chan. Who am I? So Anthony Chabala is a graduate of the University of Zambia, agricultural engineering. That was my bachelor's. Then I have a master's from CBU in project management, Master of Science, and also another master's from the University of Zambia in water resources. Yeah, that's about me in terms of my education profile. Of course, the masters are different. The UNZA one was a master's by research. I've made it a little bit bigger because I think I found the master's by research to be more challenging than the masters taught. Yeah, so I made it a little bit bigger because it's closer to a PhD in my world, because you have to publish. If you go online, you'll find some of the papers where I've been a co-author on the Barose floodplains, SWOT modeling, using GIS tools. Yeah, sure. For CBU, what I did was in project management, I went into monitoring and evaluation using geospatial data. Geospatial data, I had to monitor a project using drone technology, whereby I was tracking the costs versus the imagery material build-up. So probably that's something which could be interesting for those who would want to go into geospatial data. So now, who is a street engineer? Believe you me, this is not a lecture. I'm hoping this will be an interactive session where we'll be able to talk and we'll be able to sort of interact and build each other. So I was asking myself when I was invited to say, what am I going to say? Who is a street engineer? How do I define a street engineer when myself, I am not really a street engineer. I'm formally employed with about now 15 going to 16 years of experience, whereby I've been a hydrologist. Before that, sorry, I forgot one thing. I have worked in the bank, Standard Chartered Bank. I was hired there as an intern for a year. I worked under a program that was in place by the current Standard Chartered Bank MD, Mr. Sani Zulu. I'd worked in updating customer contact details. That was a project. And I would be glad to tell you that whilst working in the bank, I was the only engineer on a group of about 20 people. And of course, as that project was going on, people were being laid off. And I was being asked, how come an engineer? What do you want in the bank? Why in the bank? But it so happened that I remained as the last man standing. And this is something which now I need to echo to every engineer. To be a street engineer, you need to understand who you are. You need to be a smart problem solver. So you will find that we were just using Excel sheets, and in Microsoft Excel, we were just updating customer contact details. And you find that statistically, I was a little bit, I don't know, quicker than the rest. Probably that's why I remained the last man standing. And when they needed me the most, I resigned. I resolved to go to the street, not to be employed. And that got me in trouble with my family. Yeah, some of those experiences which are unique in life. But I knew what I was doing. I was convinced and I was convicted. So a street engineer must learn beyond the classroom. You need to apply yourself. You need to have skill set that are able to solve real world problems. And then you need to adapt. You need to be in survival mode. It's not just about industry is not exactly as class is. The unique situations will come your way. So the title is we're trying to understand how we can align passion with engineering. So you need to understand yourself. You need to understand yourself. Who are you? What is it that you love to do? So if you can mute your mic, the one who's speaking in the background, so that I don't get distracted. Yeah. So you need to be curious. You need to have a certain passion. We are different. The fact that you were in a class maybe of 20 or 100, we graduated 7 of us in our class, and believe you me, our paths are different. They are all different. You need to understand yourself, your abilities, your strengths and weakness. So at the end of the day, there is a saying which I was, 2 weeks ago, I was invited to be a guest of honor at the University of Zambia, Department of Agriculture Engineering, and I taught the young engineers who are in their final, those who are in second, third, all the way to 5th year, that an engineer is birthed more like a child of a snake. I don't know if that English is making sense, but an engineer, I used a little bit of vernacular. Those who understand, I've just done a direct translation. An engineer afiaro ngomo anawan soka. Like an engineer is birthed like a snake. So imagine of a snake in a tree and it's pregnant and it's carrying maybe 5 baby snakes, and then it falls from that tree and breaks on the ground. So those snakes which are in its belly will go different paths. So that is your class in which you are doing your civil engineering, your electrical engineer, your agricultural engineering, your geomatic engineering, mechanical, whichever discipline you are in, aeronautics. But it does not mean that you are going to exactly find yourself in the same path. As much as each snake takes on a different path, so will it be for you. I found myself in the bank, eventually in Department of Water Affairs. I became a hydrologist. I had no idea that I'm going to apply hydrology, but I had keen interest in water resources. And that's where now the journey begins. So you need to realize why you are learning mathematics. So mathematics in engineering is just to organize to be able for me. So this is why you discover that to survive, you need to be organized. If you're to be organized. Right. So we continue. So you need to learn to follow your curiosity. What problems do you want to solve? It's not just about excitement to say, okay, since my friend is doing that, I also need to do that. It's to be a smart or street engineer. There's a term called you need to be street smart. I have learned working with a friend who has worked for himself for more than 10 years, Engineer Chulumanda, the one who was presenting the other week on the street engineer. He's been working on his own, and he knows his abilities, and he has stuck to construction. Myself, I come with uniqueness, curiosity. From my curiosity, I have followed water resources engineering and project management, as I will be able to highlight. You need to also be experimental and intentional. At the end of the day, iterative. Make the mistakes and begin to perfect yourself. Try different areas to discover who you are. If you do not engage yourself in this kind of design for yourself, you will not get to know what is your strength. That is how one should be able to survive in industry. Impact matters. How does your engineering change lives? You also need to look at the impact. Recently, I will share with you that because of a certain skill, which speaks to the second point, skills are toolbox. They are like your toolbox. I sort of dived into drone technology, and just watching YouTube videos, I taught myself how to fly a drone and bought one funny drone, of which changed my life because I had interest in GIS. Because I understood at the bottom, my interest, I am an artist and I've got this mathematical mind. So with interest in survey. So I started putting out things, trying to figure it by myself. And before you know it, it all started getting into place. So your unique combo is key. You are not going to be the same. You have to understand that we have got different abilities, and that's what now makes what we call a team. So I was talking about, of course, the slides. Like I said, I might not exactly say what is on the slide. I'll speak what is on my heart and what can help someone out there to become a street smart engineer. So for me, I told you my passion is art and mathematics. Of course, mathematics, I did so well in mathematics. The fact that I got even some awards in mathematics whilst at high school. I had the best in Zambia. There's what we used to call Olympiads. So I represented the certain school I was at high school, and I got that. And I realized from that point that this is my unique ability. I did not do exactly geometrical and mechanical drawing, but I still went out into engineering and learned the engineering drawing, and I was able to thrive up to date. So you need to align your interest. Maybe your interest, you are in sales. You may align your engineering with understanding the price, the trends, and you become a sales engineer. Begin to grow yourself in that particular direction. Some of you are maybe in construction. Others are in hydropower. I've worked, by the way, I worked for 9 years for Lunsemfo Hydropower, where I used my hydrology and water resources techniques to be able to inform and plan the energy budgets. So you see, everything was all artistic. When I was looking at the informatics, the graphs, the hydrographs, they were able to, as I calculate the volumes, as I calculate the unit hydrographs, I was able to understand it because it's numbers and graphics, which is art. It came naturally and I was able to thrive. Yeah. So in short, in other words, I've put another definition from my own book. Engineering is simply methodical art. What I should produce in my engineering diagram or design should also be reproduced by engineer Simon or another engineer who's attending this elsewhere. Unlike art, which is not methodical, someone just draws without using a scale and does whatever. So identify. So the key message is identify who you are. So I was talking about GIS, which is Geographical Information Systems, and survey. Discovery. I discovered that those things came naturally to me, and through iteration and trying out, I learned how to use these geographical information systems. And this now has found itself knitting so well with what I do now. Informatics, producing of information, water information, to inform agriculture, to inform hydropower, to inform various forms of industries, mining inclusive. And speaking about mining, I recently had a serious encounter last year where my director sent me to one of the pollution cases which actually took place in this country. And using drone technology and GIS skills, we were able to estimate how much of a certain pollutant had gone into out into the Kafue River. I'm sure most of you know about that pollution that rocked Zambia. So now it all starts with you identifying who you are. Then also on the screen, I'm sure you see it all started with passion. I opened up a studio and now I have it in Lusaka through photography. You know, a photo may look so funny, but it carries a lot of information. And I've put this slide there just for you to appreciate that I have gone beyond just looking at a photograph into understanding that there's what we call PNG, portable network graphics. There's JPG, which is of joint photography export graphics. There's KIF, there's PIMP maps, there's TIFF, JOTIF, SVG, scalable vector graphics, OBJ when it comes to 3D. So now all these I did not learn from school, but these are things that bring me money when I'm called for different projects to be able to reproduce the 3D environment for other people in my survey. It starts with you and your interests. Grow your interest for you to be street smart. No one will be able to tell you. Be inspired. Align yourself with people who will inspire you to become what you want. So I've already talked about this slide, and I've made a caricature of myself, of course, using AI. And of course, you can see there is a UAV, unmanned aerial vehicle there, which is solving a lot of problems for me right now, even in my position. And you must know that I will boast this thing to say, you need to be innovative as a young engineer, or even an engineer who's now mature. You need to be innovative. I introduced surveillance at my former employer, which is LHPC, Lunsemfo Hydropower Company, where we started surveillance with drones, and the company saw value in my small drone. The company ended up buying bigger drones, and of course took me now to school for drone piloting. That right now I'm a licensed pilot. I'm able to survey. So I ended up benefiting because I understand who I am. Remember, we started with who am I? And I was making a joke concerning Jackie Chan, who had made a movie by Who Am I? For those who have watched that movie, you need to identify who you are. So I created value. So some of the products, by the way, from drones, you find there's what we call, let me go a little bit engineering and technical here. You can see a picture of a mountain there. That's something I surveyed in the Eastern Province. That is a real place. That is an orthomosaic image in 3D. That almost orthomosaic image in 3D, you can create contours, meaning you can calculate the volumes. You can also even, all these things are important when you are considering different projects. Could be solar, the logical kind of survey, or a topographical survey. We also have got a digital elevation model on the right-hand side, bottom there. So it all starts with you discovering who you are. That's now a combined image where you see contours, streams when it rains, how water is able to move. For those who are interested, I'm sure to follow this path, we can have a different session altogether where I can explain some of the details and my experiences. I have not brought out a lot of things when it comes to project management, but I'll proceed. So you need to discover yourself, engineers. It's very important, engineers, and if there are also non-engineers here, you need to discover yourself. That is the most important thing. And then when you discover yourself, you will not compete with anyone. You will flow. Impact and mentorship. Yeah, of course, I have also supervised a number of projects at Mulungushi University, of which one of the students I supervised, a brilliant young man, he's a civil engineer. He got an A+. We were designing flooding patterns on the Mulungushi River Bridge, the bridge which is being worked on right now. We did some scans there and reproduced the bridge in 3D and did some kind of hydraulic. From hydrology, we go to hydraulics. We're able to do some sort of hydraulic analysis, as well as the land use, land cover. That is for those who are into land use, land cover, and bridge design for those who are in civil engineering. And it doesn't matter which engineering stream you are in, every engineering stream, it's about you discovering your strength. Okay. So those are some of the practical applications. So business and opportunities. I've talked about the mining sector. Before I joined the organization which I'm in, I did a lot of what we call in Zambia PJs, a lot of PJs, private jobs, where someone calls you at a mine. You're able to monitor how the stockpiles of copper or whatever mineral they are mining. But remember, this is a man who has started out with agriculture engineering. How come? What is he doing in the mine? So it's all about how you apply your skills. It doesn't matter. Engineering is engineering. So I found myself also in the space of advertising and media. I can boast that in my former employer, I started handling the media. I was handling the media because I applied myself. I became part of what they called the CSR, corporate social responsibility, because I was able to produce media content and, of course, maintain the website. So there is no limit. You need to be street smart. If you're not employed out there, look at your abilities, what you have, and begin to apply yourself by either forming a small company, a small startup, or writing some proposal, approaching people who believe in what you are capable, your abilities. Because if you doubt yourself, be rest assured the world will doubt you even more. You need to develop that character, that charisma for yourself to be able to be propelled. So you need to break engineering beyond the traditional roles if you have to be a street engineer. I'm not saying you go and commit crime and you go and steal out there. No. What I'm simply saying is develop skill by mentorship. By the way, engineering comes through apprenticeship. Sit down under some people, but also remember what you want. When I joined the government, I was told, mukanaka, which simply means you get tired, young man. Don't try to be unique. Don't try to be different. I'm stating to you that I'm still different. And the people I found in that department who had more years than me, I left them where they are. And now they are admiring me. How come now you're a catchment manager, which is regional manager? How come you went into the private and you did whatever you had to do? It's about applying yourself. Be street smart. And let your passion lead you. So what is my key message? Align passion with engineering. Being an artist, I've told you, I loved drawing, and of which we used to have serious wars in my home with my father. He never wanted me to draw because he wanted me to focus on my school. But now it's my father at graduation who started saying, I hope you have not neglected your art. Little did he know that Now everything was able now to fit in. So create value. Don't just follow a passion that is empty, a passion which does not lead to any value. Otherwise, you'll be a broke engineer. You need to create value. So let's skills open the doors for you. That is my encouragement. And at this moment, it brings us to the end of my presentation. So align your passion, build your path. Thank you so much.
Oh, wow. Thank you very much, sir. That was it was a short one, eh?
They say I don't have to bore you. I need to give you room to be able to ask questions. It's not, quality is not in quantity.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Okay, I think we can have, yeah, we can have questions if there are questions.
Please feel free to ask questions. This is your opportunity. Let us interact. Let us make this a meaningful interaction. We have sacrificed time staying away from different activities.
Oh, okay, Mr. Francis.
Yes, go ahead.
I wanted to ask, how did you bridge the gap between the time that you graduated and the time that you entered the industry? And by that, I mean the knowledge that you learned in class and the knowledge that you had to learn from the side, in the aspect to say mostly in class, for example, in the engineering, we're taught the theoretical methods like calculations, and which is not usually the case on the if you go like on site. So how did you bridge the gap between the knowledge that you learned in class and the situation that you found as your career was starting? I don't know if I'm understood.
I totally understand your question. Hopefully,
Okay.
I'll answer it also in a manner that will benefit you yourself and everyone. Yeah. Okay. Bridging the gap. How? What a lovely question. So what I'll say is I'll start from my final year project. My final year project was more of waste management, poultry waste management. I was supervised by an engineer where I needed to come up with a method of how to deal with poultry litter. Poultry litter is waste management from birds, chickens. Largely in Zambia, we keep chickens, but they could be turkeys, they could be quails. So you see, that was not really exactly my interest. So I had to do that project either way and clear. But I loved water so much. So even in all the attachments I did before graduating, I had to deal with water. And I must mention expressly that we had what we used to call at the university mature students. Those are students who are coming, who already have diplomas in engineering fields, and you become classmates. So you find that some of them were coming from homes where they are already married and they have a number of responsibilities. So I found myself interacting with them and able to help them. And some of them, because of goodwill, they were able to direct and help me to find placements according to my interest. So now, how I was able to now bridge the gap, it's between after graduating and finding employment. First of all, I told you the day I graduated, the following day I was interviewed at the bank, and I worked for about a year at Standard Chartered Bank in Lusaka. So then I felt out of place. I felt confined, more like suffocated. Putting on a tie every day and a suit was not what I wanted. I loved the environment, the aircon, the glassy, poshy environment, but I resigned and I was staying with my older sister then. She was very displeased, and I would be also displeased if you were to do such a thing. You don't have the next job yet you quit. But I was so convinced that there is something coming up. So I stayed for 5 months without working. But in that gap, because of what I did previously, you will not be surprised, for those I've taught before at Mulungushi University, for those I've lectured to, you will not be surprised. So whilst at the University of Zambia, I used to also help out in tutoring those who used to come on distance education basis. So I built a little bit of craft and techniques on how to teach people. So some of those I had taught already found themselves with the newly opened up then University of Lusaka, Unilas. Some of those, I don't know who recommended me, but I found myself being recommended as a side tutor. So I started taking people who are in school of business, teaching them mathematics because of engineering mathematics.
Excuse me,
A
sir.
rich engineering mathematics background. Sorry?
I was thinking we can have another session for questions and interaction so that maybe you can advise more on because there is another question which would like to be answered, but we don't have time right now.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think when it cuts, you just come back and then we can have questions.
Okay. So I will log in using the same link.
Yeah, the same link. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe let me, before it cuts, I finish this question.
Okay.
Hopefully it won't cut.
Well, less than a minute.
Okay, you keep on trying what you can, and you can you hear me?
Yes, you're loud and clear.
Finishing up the question I had. So how I was able to bridge. Bridging for anyone is unique, but probably the bottom line in the bridging is for you, when you graduate, to align yourself with your interests. But always remember to be open-minded. Remember what I talked about? Value. Don't just say, my interest is in this. You need to be open-minded to the changes. For instance, we are undergoing climate change. There's a lot of climate science that is out there. Begin to see the trends, what is going on in society, and how can I be a solution? You have seen in Zambia where roads are being taken. Begin to look at hydrology, hydraulics. You can see challenges of houses being flooded, dams being broken. Probably that's my area, so I'm talking about more of that. You can also see the energy challenges, by the way. This is why you see the migration towards solar. So you begin to align yourself with what is trending and what the future is speaking. I hope I've answered that one.
Yes, sure. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
You're most welcome.
There's a question from Parav. Yeah, he's saying how did you manage to work-life balance? How did you manage work-life balance when you started your career as a young engineer?
That's a very, very important question, which Parav has brought about. And for those who know me in person, they know that I'm a sportsman. Life is about balance. As much as the machines which you service in your mechanical or agriculture or civil, you service those machines with all for them to have efficiency, to have a certain level of efficiency. Even our bodies need service. You need to have a mind that is in its rightful framework. So part of putting the mind in its right framework is you need to exercise. For those who are also spiritual in what you believe, stand in what you believe, the values that you believe. They really help one, especially in moments of pressure, because it sort of builds you. Now, if you're always stressed, you're mentally stressed, you are worried, you will not work with a high level of efficiency. Maybe Simon, the question again, maybe I'm just hoping I've not misunderstood it.
It's saying, how did you manage work-life balance when you started your career as a young engineer?
Work-life balance. So
Yeah.
work-life balance, yeah, know your habits. For me, I knew my habits. How I balanced is that I know that I wake up very, very early, sometimes 03, 4, I'm already up. So you program yourself in a manner where, one, you have to service your body through exercise and also grow intellectually. You need to spare time for you to read, study, apart from the physical. So you are developing your body as well as both your mental. Then also relationship wise, you need to build your relationship. By relationships, I mean your boyfriend, your girlfriend, or whichever is there out there. But of course, I'm speaking as the way it's for Zambia. The case of Zambia is the way it is male female kind of relationship. You balance out. You don't have to kill yourself. Well, I must say that at the University of Zambia, when I was a student, it was more like what you call a seminary. You call yourselves monks. Well, that's just for the fun. So that's basically how I managed to balance.
Question.
Another question from Clement Mlenga. He's saying you talked
Yes,
about,
please.
he said you talked about breaking away from traditional engineering with the new age of technology. How best can one leverage machine learning technology into maintenance, reliability, etc.?
Okay.
Yeah.
That's I will start with the basics. For one to thrive in the art of engineering, it requires one to understand what we call the first principles. The elementary or foundational principles, you must first understand what they are and how they work. It's like when you're using AI, AI is about prompts. It's how you understand or how good you are at a particular subject. If you give it wrong prompts, it will respond according to what you are asking for. More like garbage in, garbage out, giggle. So for me, for you to leverage AI, artificial intelligence as well as machine learning. For me, who's coming from the GIS sector, when you talk about machine learning, I think it's being applied so much in pattern recognition and sort of land use, land cover. You train using some training samples. So what you do first of all is first understand the principles for yourself. Don't just start giving the AI prompt and to do the work for you. You first of all need to, you yourself, you are the controller. You need to give yourself enough solid foundation to understand what's going on. That way AI will work for you as well as machine learning. Because I believe I've answered the question. Yeah, let me not say much. Have I answered your question, sir?
Mr. Mlenga, he's asking if he has answered the question. Oh, he has responded. He's saying, yes, you have.
Hope he's satisfied with what I've said. engineering is about you yourself understanding the concepts for yourself before you can actually apply them.
Yeah. There was a question. I think Prosper. There's another question from Francis Kashweka, water
Oh,
engineer.
yes, I know him. Yes, I
Okay.
know him. He's doing the same masters I did at UNZA.
Okay, that's good. So he's
Sure.
saying, how do you collaborate with colleagues who once dumped or unfairly treated you on a business deal? You are more versatile technically than them, yet they have some good business negotiation and marketing skills. Was I clear enough?
Okay.
Yeah.
So navigating, how do you let me check. Where is I'm trying to check the question. That's Clement. Is it Clement Mlenga?
No. Francis Kasheka.
Oh,
With
Francis.
K.
Yeah. Water engineer. How do you collaborate with colleagues who once dumped or unfairly treated you or a business deal or on a business deal? You are more versatile technically than them, yet they have some good business negotiation. Oh, yeah. So everything now, I'll apply project management here. So everything is about negotiation. There's a subject in project management called negotiation. Clearly, you have answered Francis, you have answered yourself. So they might be so vocal, they might be able to explain certain things so well, but you need your TORs to be clearly spelled out from the beginning to say, what I'll be bringing to this table, this is the value. What are you bringing to them? You are the owner of the project, but the project won't run itself. It won't generate its own money if my technical or skill is not brought. So you agree, you make contracts. I believe some of you engineers, especially civil engineers, you must have done some level of contract management. So it's important. I will recommend this generation, including myself. I'm learning some contracts from Engineer Chirumanda, who was the last presenter. I'm learning a bit of. It's very important to learn how you can handle contracts. Otherwise, you're going to have short deals that are bad deals. At this moment, even I must tell you that my own father, who's an electrical telecom engineer, did a lot of deals that did not work for his benefit. He gave out his life for service, which is a good thing, being patriotic. But you find that if you don't put your terms clearly, you will be abused. So avoid being abused by clearly spelling out your terms of reference. I know in Zambia you are fearing to say, if I don't agree to these short deals, they will give it to someone anyway. So the other thing I left out in the presentation, which I should have mentioned, is that make your skill unique. Become so uniquely good, so much that they almost can't do without you, like air. I'm not yet there myself, but I know when it comes to hydrology in Zambia, if you say list of hydrologists, I think I'm one of the best hydrologists in Zambia. I can boast at that. So become so uniquely good at what you do. Then whatever deal comes in that area, become an expert in that area. You will see people come. Yeah, I think I've tried to answer to Francis's. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
I have a question. One more question.
No, I'll give you the time. I wanted to finish up reading the questions in the comment section first, then you come in.
Thank you.
Okay. So there's a question from Lombe Kaniki. Any advice for graduates that studied outside of the country with barely any prior experience or internship? I think I can even add this one so that you just tackle them together. The other question is coming from Chalwe. He's saying, what do you think is a drawback to engineers in Zambia to solve even small challenges the country struggles with?
Okay. So let's start with those who study from outside. Those who study from outside and opportunities is exactly like my younger brother, who is a mining engineer. He studied in Morocco, then came to Zambia and trying to look for placement, and placement was not easily found. So in that moment, he adapted to anything that came his way. So there's a certain time and a certain phrase. I'll use a certain phrase, a Zambian phrase, but I'll speak it in English. I'll speak it in my mother tongue, then speak it in English. Okay, let me just speak it in English. There's an African proverb which describes that in times of droughts and scarcity, even a lion eats grass. It becomes a vegetarian. So the problem which is with the generation, which I see sometimes, is lack of adjusting. When an opportunity which you are looking for is not coming your way, it does not mean that you just have to keep on looking for that, what you want. I want 100,000 kwacha paying job, a 50,000 kwacha paying job, or this amount of dollars paying job. You have to adjust yourself, because the question is, I ask you, is this: what skill set or what problem are you solving as a new graduate? So those who are coming in from outside, the best place to find yourselves is simply to interact. Find yourself, interact. And also, I forgot to mention, by the way, be affiliated with the Engineering Institution of Zambia. I'm a chairperson for Kabwe branch. I'm in the Engineering Institute of Zambia. I forgot to mention, I have reached the highest level. I'm a fellow. I'm a fellow engineer. That is the level I've reached. So also align yourself with the EIZ early enough and interact, participate. You are going to find opportunities there, much more opportunities. You meet different people, you have conversations with different engineers. You might not, of course, go to the AGM, but where you are located, it could be in whichever part of Zambia. Be part of those, be inquisitive. So for those coming from outside, it's about interacting. Those coming from outside, I've seen one of my seniors who was a senior of mine at high school. He went to China. He was one of those who went to China, early guys who went to China. He's created an empire for himself, because now he speaks Chinese and is able to handle deals with people. It started out like a joke. So my answers might not be outrightly 100%, but the most important take-home message is you need to interact with a lot of organizations, and some will be friendly, some won't be friendly, but develop your skill either way. There was a second question you asked to say, maybe if you can read it again, Simon. I'm not writing anywhere.
Okay. He
I'm
said,
just
it's coming from Chalwe, and it reads, what do you think is a drawback to engineers in Zambia to solve even small challenges the country struggles with?
okay. So number one drawback is when you see yourself in the mirror, you see a rat. What do I mean? Looking down at yourself, your capabilities, thinking you are small. You are actually a lion or a lioness. Do not doubt yourself. This is why when we are being trained and going into school, it is important for us to master Truly study, not just studying to clear the course. Study to understand the content. Yes, sometimes university can be so pressurizing to a point you just want to clear the course and get out of that stage so that you go to the next stage. But make time for yourself to study and understand, why did I not understand this? What did I miss? So, number one, it's the way you look at yourself. That's what needs to change. Second, is the way you look at others. I'm using some analogy which may derive its meaning from the Bible, where to say, unless you learn, love your neighbor as you love yourself. So I'm starting with yourself. The moment you begin to love yourself, you can learn to love the other person. So it starts with us. If you believe in yourself, have confidence, you will not be intimidated by others. You will also be able to create opportunities for others. And that's the kind of engineering we need, and engineers, to create opportunities for ourselves and others. So it starts with you. Develop yourself, then you can believe in others.
Thank you very much, sir. I think this is the last question in the comment section. He's from Token Lunswe. You were fortunate to have been hired early after graduation. My question is, how do I position myself in the industry to stand higher chances of employment? I understand you talked about leveraging on our skills, but I want to know how I can expose myself as a junior engineer in today's world, where mostly we see adverts requiring experienced employees.
Great question. Great question. And thank you for the comment that I was fortunate to be employed early. But I will tell you that I was deliberate in the attachments I made. The attachments I started out. You remember I told you about interacting with other people, senior engineers, people who are coming, like I told you we had mature students. All in all, that is a strategy on itself. So the first strategy is not actually just being fortunate. It's also being tactful. That is what I said, being street smart. Being street smart. I will tell you for one thing for a fact. How I found placement in the government. It's not exactly an engineer. It was somebody who was simply working in the government and understood how government systems worked, how people get hired, and how probably letters should be written. And this gentleman was older than myself. He was my neighbor. He was in second year. I think second year I was a senior. I was in fifth year. But because he used to travel out of town to go and see his family, I was courteous enough to take care of his room and sometimes cook him a meal. But I was a senior, but he's older than me. I was gracious towards him. So you know what happened? When I had graduated, I was working in the bank. He started whispering to me, do you know what? Try to also apply here. This is how you apply. Write your letter like this. And from then, I did what he told me. And I stayed back, not knowing that actually when I'd written it the way I'd written that letter, actually I'll be called later on. 5, is it 5 or within 5-8 months after I'd left the bank. So sometimes it's about our interaction. Let us not be full of ourselves in our attitude. Attitude is everything. Some people who have studied attitude and they have assigned a number to each of the letters, where A stands for 1, B stands for 2, C stands for 3, all the way up to Z or Z, whichever pronunciation. Z stands for 26. Now, when you spell attitude and you total up the numbers, it gives 100%, 100, which of course people have said it's equivalent to 100%. So your attitude is everything. Sometimes as an engineer, I know we are proud people and we should be proud. I'm not saying you should be apologetic by being an engineer. Be proud of who you are. Be confident. But at the same time, be polite. Be tactful. Help out whenever an opportunity comes. Opportunities don't always come like, okay, you do this. I remember a friend, he came from NRDC, had a diploma. He was attached with me when I was with Water Affairs. So there was a white farmer from the Mukushi farm block who came. He needed some help with something. So the guy simply managed to make him a land use land cover map for free. He showcased his capability. Guess what happened the next 6 months? The guy was hired. I want you to come and help me this and that, this and that. Before you know it, it led to other things. And this guy right now is a high profile guy. I'm hoping I've answered to the question. I feel there's a part I've not answered. Have I answered everything?
Yeah, I think you have. I don't know from the person who okay, but there's a comment saying well answered. I think everything is clear.
Okay, so that's the way you position yourself, sir, as a young engineer. Let's have an attitude that will inspire other people. You know, you are all engineers and you all come, you're all brilliant. Now, how will the possible employers hire you? They'll look for other things apart from academia. This is why you need to be street smart as a street engineer. Looking at the title as a street engineer, you need to be street smart. Attitude is everything. Thank you.
Okay, I think there was one last question from Prosper. I think you can ask your question, Mr. Prosper.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Prosper. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you, sir. So I think I have two questions. So I'll start with the first question. My first question is that I'm a recent graduate last year at Mungushi University. I was doing triple E. So having doing attachments or other internships with a certain company. So we conduct certain tests on systems like switch gears, also the RIMUs. So you find that you are seated and other technical personnel like the crafts guys, they are doing their things, but you also have your own things in mind. Then you find that what you have in mind, maybe you just share with a colleague that is close to you. Then you say, no, I don't think that is right. Then you check maybe some calculations, the IR calculations. I don't know if we're in the same picture. Then you find that what you are thinking, it is actually the correct thing. When they do that, they fail, but you don't have that courage to to question how it's supposed to be done. So my question is, are there specific strategies that young engineers can use to feel more integrated in the team? That's my first question.
Okay. Prosper. You know that we all go, and as young graduates, we sort of undergo a similar experience, though different. And the solution is one to all these challenges. Myself, I'll give you an example. I'll tell you that practical hydrology skills of how to measure discharge, flow measurements, I learned from someone who has never been to university, not even a college, does not even have a diploma. This person was a grade 12. So the way we put it in our country, a grade 12. Yeah, he just had his GCE certificate, yes. but he had the skill which I wanted. There's a saying I have in my mother tongue, to say, to get, it says, a direct translation, it says that to get a weight from a chicken, you need to be humble. Something like to say, kupoka echinsenda kunkoko kunakirila. You need to be humble for you to get a certain skill. So when you're interacting with people in industry and you notice something that is wrong, you need a lot of wisdom and way to be able to bring in your ideas. You do not have to scare them that, look, man, I'm a graduate and what you're doing is wrong. You need to find a way of approaching the situation and getting it done the right way. Maybe from my experience, let me narrate from my experience what happened. Sometimes do you know that sometimes you can actually suggest ideas to a point whereby the person who's doing it feels that they are the owner of the idea. Meanwhile, you are the one who suggested it indirectly. It calls for a lot of skill. And I know engineers, that's one weakness. We are not taught social sciences, except probably those who do agriculture engineering. They get to do what is called rural sociology and extension. But that is not also enough. So you get to a point where now you begin to see people have got a pattern in which they do things. And the pattern in which they do things may not be correct, may not be the right way of doing it. So now, how do you now begin to suggest and bring in ideas on how to do it differently, efficiently, in a fast manner? You need lots of wisdom. I may not have the exact answer for your case, but in my case, I had this man who was on my neck. You know, you want to learn principles of survey. Okay, how is this working? This total station, how is it working? He tells you, go with the staff level, go to that side. Then he starts making the bookings in his survey book. Then you only see the results. And then you're not basically learning anything. But because of the attitude, like I said, attitude is everything. Attitude will determine your altitude. That's how some other people, so attitude determine how high you go. So in what he was doing, eventually he started spilling the the secrets. After I realized that he was comfortable with me, I learned from him. And now he likes calling me. The same man, he's retired. He likes calling me when he's working and he says, I need this engineer, this guy who's an expert to come and help us in this particular project. It's all networking. A friendship that started, well, that would have gone into, so to say, sworn enemies, has turned out to be a win-win situation. So you need to navigate carefully. Thank you. Second question.
Well answered, sir. Well answered. I know for this other question, I might just get back to you on the right time when I just settle properly. Thank you.
All right.
Seems like all the questions have been answered, sir. We thank you for your time. We know you're a busy man, and to spare this time, we really appreciate as a platform. We're still growing, sir. So I think we just want your support so that we can keep on learning more. Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah.
I am thinking that I'll reach out probably to the Engineering Institution of Zambia president, probably to also come and give you some motivation talk on the street engineer. I'll get back to you as the organizer, just part of motivating you younger people, because it's very important. You are the leaders of today and tomorrow. I don't think the saying, you are the leaders of tomorrow applies. It's the leaders of today and tomorrow. I was recently given an opportunity to speak by an engineer, a friend of mine, Engineer Chilumanda, who's here. He's also in attendance. He happens to be pastoring a church as well. So he gave me an opportunity to share to the young people on some of the things that are very important. And I was just able to remind that the greatest of change and revolutionaries in history comes from young people. Look at it from any point of religion, you will find that mostly it's the young people. Our first Republican president did not become president as he was a youth. I'm believing the time he was interacting with the Martin Luther Kings, those guys were young guys who are pushing for change. But pushing for change with a message that is humble, but as swift as a serpent. I'm now quoting from the Bible, by the way. Be humble as a dove, but as swift as a serpent. So that's the way you need to do it in industry. You need to be humble, but when an opportunity comes, you strike like a snake. Those are my last words.
Thank you very much, sir. We'll be waiting for the president.
Sure. I will talk to him so that this thing you have started as a youth movement, as a street engineer, can go like bushfire. Can grow like bushfire. I believe in you guys for spending time with me. And as much as you have spent time with me, begin also to believe in yourselves. You are the difference that we need. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
All right.